Hello, everyone. Before I get started, I just wanted to give a very short background about myself. My name is Jenny May. I live in Tennessee and I have a background in sociology, and I did a lot of research on bisexuality and bisexual erasure. But I think now more than ever, it's very important for us to bring up this topic as there is a lot of biphobia arising in the community. So, before I get started, I just wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are my own and are for entertainment and commentary purposes only. I have no intent to defame, insult, or harm any individuals or entities mentioned. All information presented is based on publicly available sources, and I strive to respect the privacy and dignity of all parties involved. I hold a commitment to responsible commentary. As I do this commentary, I will be looking at notes, and all of the sources that I'm referring to or have used will be linked in the description if you're more interested in reading some more about the situation. So recently, I have been scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, and social media in general, and there have been a lot of accusations that a lot of celebrities or queer influencers are being accused of queerbaiting. So I wanted to just define queerbaiting so we know exactly what we're talking about. A definition online suggested that queerbaiting was the practice of hinting at non heterosexual relationships or attraction, such as in a TV show, to appeal to an LGBTQ plus audience without ever actually depicting such relationships or sexual interactions. A really great example of this is Love Simon, but that is another topic for another day. The first sort of thing that I feel like comes to any queer person's mind right now, and the discourse that comes with being queer or switching labels and that sort of thing, is the Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes situation. So, Hughes and Siwa originally linked up on UK Big Brother when Siwa was dating their partner Kath Ebbs, who identifies as non-binary, and Jojo broke up with Ebbs at a Big Brother after party. Everyone online was going crazy about this. It was quite the messy breakup, but I'm gonna focus less on the drama of the breakup and I'm gonna focus more on identity and Jojo's identity. While she previously identified as a lesbian, she came out as queer on the UK Big Brother show. Jojo doesn't exactly have sort of this good gay, whatever that means, award when people are constantly putting her under scrutiny. She's been under scrutiny as a minor, she's been under scrutiny as an adult. But like I said, this is besides the point. People are sort of continually putting queer people into boxes, queer people like JoJo. And while maybe it's not intentional, they're actively erasing people who identify as queer and demonizing dual attraction. One comment on TikTok that pictured Hughes and JoJo questioned, I thought that she had a girlfriend. What happened to that? Another commenter replied, she dumped her at the wrap party. She wasn't happy in the relationship, but she's more happier with Chris. Another replied, she turned straight. It's never, oh, this person could be bisexual. It's always, if they date a man, then they are straight. And I've dealt with this in my own personal relationship. I do identify currently as bisexual, and I am currently in a very straight presenting relationship with a cisgender straight male. But that doesn't take away the fact that I am bisexual. But I will say, besides me and besides JoJo, JoJo is not the only public figure that has been under scrutiny. Next, there is Fletcher. And a lot of people have been talking about this. I've been seeing so much discourse online, especially with a lot of lesbian influencers on TikTok. There's been a ton of arguing, ton of discourse, and I think it's important that we have these conversations. I think it's important that we disagree so we can continue to learn from each other. But anyway, queer singer Carrie Fletcher, who performs under her last name Fletcher, released a song called Boy and announced a new album, Would You Still Love Me If You Really Knew Me, set to be released on July 14th. So Fletcher released Boy as the lead single, which really sent everyone into a panic. The lead single lyrics say, And I know it's not what you wanted to hear, and it wasn't on your bingo card this year. Well, it wasn't on mine. I fell in love, and it wasn't with who I thought it would be. And I'm scared to think what you'll think of me. His lips were soft. I had no choice. I kissed a boy. One fan in the YouTube comment section below said, "So proud of Fletcher for dating a man. I know how stigmatized heterosexual relationships are." Another commenter wrote, "Obviously, we all knew she was bi and not a lesbian, but why is she doing it while completely erasing her sapphic identity? Like, what is going on? It's such weird conservative vibes." I did my own research because honestly, I've just seen the word sapphic being used mostly for lesbian relationships. However, the definition online suggested that it includes any WLW relationships, including trans mask people, including bisexual people, including pansexual people. So it's very confusing to me that people are sort of excluding bisexual and other populations within sort of that umbrella. It's very confusing to me. And I'm curious to see other people in the comment section, those who maybe know more about this. Does Sapphic completely exclude bisexual individuals? According to my research, it didn't, but I'm very open to learning more about that. So, in addition, Fletcher did a interview with the Rolling Stone. This interview was done by Waze Aramesh. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Fletcher has sort of long emphasized her sexual fluidity, which is so interesting to me because as someone who's not sort of in on that information about Fletcher, I'm not super familiar with her music. I definitely have friends who have told me about her and that sort of thing, but I'm not like a die-hard like Fletcher fan or anything like that. Definitely, like I know a little bit about her just from hearsay in the community. Supposedly, Fletcher has long emphasized her sexual fluidity. From my friends, I've just heard that she's a lesbian. So I don't know what the discourse is there, but in this interview, she said that she had many queer fans and the relationships that she's sung about have until now exclusively just been with women. She expressed there will be people that feel disappointed and feel confused and have questions. She said, "Girl, I had questions and I was confused too. It shocks me just as much as anyone else." Now, the fact that she sort of has to defend her feelings and emotions, and she's worried that she'll receive judgment from her own community is very concerning to me. As someone who has felt sort of isolated from the community because I've been in a lot of straight presenting relationships, it's really disappointing that as a community we're supposed to lift each other up and not push against each other. Additionally, in the interview, Fletcher said that she was so proud to be queer and that her sexuality is not something that she has ever wavered or changed. She suggested that she seemingly found peace with that in the same name of being unabashedly herself. Now, many commenters suggested that it's strange Fletcher is completely changing aesthetics. In this music video, it's very sort of low country guitars, um, very just simple, raw emotion. And many commenters sort of said that it's really strange that she sort of flipped aesthetics from this sort of loud queer persona, more tame, almost straight aesthetic. A lot of people suggested that it was mostly the timing of this aesthetic because of to say queer people being threatened by MAGA admin. I said something different. So that's my edit. While the timing may seem tone deaf with the MAGA aesthetic, the biphobia continues and seems to be blatant. My response to the uproar of queer people being angry that Fletcher is dating a man stays the same. Believe it or not, bisexual people exist, queer people exist, pan people exist. And while I in my currently relationship inherently possess straight privilege because I am in a straight presenting relationship, this does not mean that I do not experience homophobia. Another journalist noted how in Fletcher's song she almost sounded scared to express to her fans that she could possibly be with a man. This journalist brought up the interesting point of I'm not bisexual, so I could be wrong. To me, boy doesn't sound like an empowering bi or queer anthem. It sounds like Fletcher feels guilty about her feelings for a man and wants to apologize for them. She seems to be lamenting that she couldn't stop it from happening and implying that if she did have a choice, she would have not done it. And it rings true. If a queer artist is scared of coming out to queer people, there is a huge problem in the community, especially for those who maintain dual attraction. This sort of brings me to additional interview that Fletcher expressed. She emphasized that people can change. A direct quote by Fletcher: "I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago, and I am happy about that." Once again, believe it or not, people can change. I don't think many of us are the same person we were a few years ago, maybe even a few weeks ago. Sexuality is very, very fluid. Many of my LGBTQ friends have switched around labels. They've gone from being queer to being a lesbian, or being non binary to trans masculine. Everyone should be able to have the ability to change and be accepted. We should be able to have the same patience that we have with our friends that we do with celebrities, because after all, they're really just people. They're really just normal people like us. Fletcher also noted in the interview about how people need to be more opening to this evolvement with sexuality. She expressed, even if someone did identify a specific way for a very long time, you're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to change. That's something that I would love to see more grace for in the community. Finally, one commenter under Fletcher's Boys suggested that instead of speculation, community members should try to adapt to change. They said, "People are too invested in celebrities' authenticity. The image they put for media is just that, an image. It's not who they actually are and never will be. While she has promoted herself as more of a woman lover, it doesn't take away the fact that she's still queer and it's just music. I know it wasn't what you wanted to hear. Sexuality and people can change. The fact that it's during Pride Month doesn't change that fact. She's still an active supporter and pushes us to love each other. I understand where the comments are coming from, but it's just disappointing to see that we can't leave someone be in their art and how they choose to present themselves." I completely and wholeheartedly agree with that. I think as a community, we should do better at supporting and adapting to change with sexuality, as it is a very fluid thing. Next, let's talk about Billie Eilish. Okay. Billie Eilish is sort of another prime example of one of those people who people have sort of speculated on her sexuality even before she was an adult, which is kind of creepy. She expressed her queer identity openly for the first time with her song Lunch on her 2024 album Hit Me Hard and Soft. In an article, she expressed that song was actually a part of what helped me become who I am, to be real. I wrote some of it even before doing anything with a girl, and then wrote the rest after. I've been in love with girls my whole life, but I just don't understand. Until last year, I just realized I wanted my face in a. So, as Eilish has clearly stated her queer identity before Lunch came out, it's very shocking to me that people still assume her identity. People still say she's a lesbian. People say this, that, and the other thing, even though she's blatantly told the media that she likes boys and girls. And after the recent photo of her and Nat Wolff came out, she's received a lot of backlash for being with a man or queerbaiting when she has clearly been bisexual this whole time. It's very, very, very frustrating to see this. So, my overall stance and impression as a bisexual woman remains the same for both straight and queer parties. Why are we policing queer people? ACLU reported over 588 anti-LGBTQ plus bills that target and threaten LGBTQ rights. And while not all of these bills will become law, they do cause a lot of public harm for LGBTQ people. So now more than ever, our very existence is at risk. So why are we arguing over pointless things such as labeling? We should let people exist and express themselves in their own time and understand that change is a valid part of queer identity. And as someone who switched labels a few times, I'm lucky that I've had mostly supportive friends and family and access to things like therapy to help me through this journey. At the end of the day, all of us queer people just want to be loved and validated, and we should do this together as a community. That's basically all I have to say for today, but I would love to hear your thoughts. I am constantly trying to learn from the queer community, so please leave a comment below if you agree, disagree. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll be replying to a few. Once again, I wanted to remind everyone that all of my sources that I used will be linked below if you want to read more. But if you guys want sort of a part 2, I've done a lot of research on bisexual erasure and that sort of topic, or if you guys have any other ideas, I'd be more than happy to do sort of a part 2. But thank you so much for your support. Please leave a like, subscribe if you want more content like this, and have a beautiful, beautiful pride. Goodbye!